This is Inside Badger Football with head coach Trey Shucker. Inside Badger Football is brought to you by the Arkadelphia Alliance and Chamber of Commerce, ATO Automotive, Batson Signs, Bell Wealth Services, Blakelytown, Chad Kesterson Shelter Insurance, Chicken Express, Citizens Bank, Domino's, Eccles, Thompson and Kneebone CPA, Doctors Gary and Rob Rucker, Knight Insurance Professionals, L&J Auto Sales, Ludwig's Bakery, Park Hill Baptist Church, Patterson Federal Credit Union, Print Mania, Providence Veterinary Care, Roger Wingfield State Farm, Scott Bird DDS, The Sexton Firm, South Central Connect, Southern Bancorp, Southwest Auto Collection, Taylor King Law, Tea Time Sims, Trinity Temple Assembly of God, Turner, Rogers, Manning and Plyler CPA, Twin Rivers Health and Rehabilitation, and Welch Funeral Home. The host of Inside Badger Football is Cooper Darr.
For the 9th straight season and 12th in the last 13, the Arkadelphia Badgers are playing on Thanksgiving week. Welcome into Inside Badger Football with Trey Shucker. I'm Chris Babb, sitting in for Cooper Darr today. Coach Shucker, it was a fun one Friday night. I'm sure it was you just look so calm down there on the outside, but
somebody's got to be.
That's right. None of the rest of us were, but the Badgers come away with a 23-18 victory over Clinton. Coach, I'm going to go back to what I heard you tell the team in the post-game meeting at Lake Hamilton several years ago. And you said you didn't panic. I told you this was going to be a 4-quarter ball game. Not had very many of those until Friday night. And it seemed like your guys went back to the don't panic, do what you have to do to win the game, and that's what happened.
That's right. It just shows the experience of our players, shows the mental toughness of our players to not panic in those situations, just trust their teammates, trust the coaching, and go make the plays. And I thought we did that Friday night. Clinton, we knew going into it, it was going to be a battle. Right. Clinton's a very good football team, very similar situation in terms of schedule and seeding as us. They had lost to Dardanelle in a tight ball game, got a field goal blocked at the very end of the game to, which if they had made that would have won. They would have been the 1 seed. We were in a tight ball game with Nashville, came out on, didn't win the game. So we were the 2 seed. Both of us were the 2 seed. We had the same record going into the game. They're very well coached. Coach DeFriend does a great job. They were ready to play us.
In a game that has so many ebbs and flows, you have close games that are close games, but this game had so many roller coaster moments. Team, a momentum swing this side to that side. Clinton had great moments of positive momentum. Then Arkadelphia would steal it. It'd go back and forth. In a game that ebbs and flows like it did, it seems like it just puts more importance on players and coaches staying in the moment and not getting too high and too low.
That's right. That's exactly right. And in playoff games and big games against good teams, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be an up and down, and it's going to be a lot of ebbs and flows. But yeah, being in the moment, trying to stay clear-minded as much as possible, it really is important from the coach's standpoint, also to the players. And I think our staff does a great job of maintaining control, and I think that feeds into our players. Our players see that, and I think it calms our players down, allows them to be clear-minded also.
Your defense kept being asked to make stop after stop after stop, and they did that. And then the offense came through when it needed to. You talk about 3-phase complementary football. I know that you, like we said a couple of weeks ago, you felt like or Cooper said last week, you felt like there were still some opportunities left out there offensively. But your defense came up with stops time after time, goal line stops in the middle of the field.
Some turnovers in there also. And our defense has been really consistent this year. Going into this season, we knew our defense was really good, just based off of what we were able to bring back off of last year's team, the experience that we've got on the defense, just all of it, the players that we have. And that's still true to today. Our defense is really good. We feel like our defense can play with any offense out there. Doesn't matter. This past week we had to play against the wing T, and a very good one. But we were able to match and exceed the physicality it takes to stop them and turn the football over. Our offense. There's kind of been some up and downs in there throughout the year. There's been some really good performances. There's been some performances that make you scratch your head. I mean, I was just being honest. But it's one of those things that we've continued to find a way to win. We've continued to find a way to get it done. I know it's not always pretty, but at the end of the day, if we come out on top, that's the goal of the week. And, we're very fortunate and very proud to be still playing today.
Yeah, there are 8 teams in Class 4A still playing over Thanksgiving. We'll get to that. But let's go back to Friday night as the Arkadelphia Badgers defeated Clinton 23-18. It was a fun night at Badger Stadium, an unseasonably warm night at Badger Stadium. Let's take a look at some of those highlights as the Badgers took on the Clinton Yellow Jackets. Coach, this is the first possession we have, and I thought this was important. You see, that's not the fog. That came in the third quarter. But this was a third down stop that your defense got that set up another special teams execution.
Yes, this was huge just to set the tone for the game. Defensive stop that led to a blocked punt, and, I wish we would have been able to fall on it. We're back there scrambling around for it. But the ball ended up going in the back of the end zone, and we got a safety. So 2 points on the board, first points of the game coming from a safety. That was huge.
He did signal touchback, and there was some discussion, but it ended up being the safety like it should have been. So now, late in the first quarter, 2-0. I think I made a bad dad joke and said bottom of the second inning after a field goal made it 3-2 here. But then your offense tries to get going. This was a nicely executed onside kick by them.
Yeah, we knew that they had this in their toolbox. We just didn't know when they were going to pull it out and use it. Very good timing of their part, doing it the first time, kicking off to us. And then the kicker did a great job with the kick. I mean, couldn't ask for a better onside kick than that one from their perspective. We tried to make a play on the ball. Just didn't go our way.
You mentioned the offensive style of Clinton, not 100% in the wing tee. As you see here, those 2 snaps out of the shotgun. So it seemed like your defense had more adjustments and more schemes to kind of match up against throughout the night.
Yes, our defense had a tall task, and there was a lot of alignments that we had to make, a lot of calls and a lot of reads that would change throughout the game. So, our defense had a lot of pressure on this week to be able to stop what they do.
This play here is kind of indicative of the night. Clinton ends up scoring on this possession, but that was not the only time that there were goal line stands or a 1st and 10 at the 12.
Yeah.
That was a big series. We'll see a little bit later. I thought that your defense really kind of plugged up the middle and didn't allow Hunt Gonzalez to get loose.
That's right, and the whole deal was we didn't want to get trapped. We didn't want to allow the fullback trap. For the most part, all their downhill runs, I thought we did a really good job of getting bodies too. They've got some really heavy runners that they were able to fall forward and keep getting some yards, getting positive gains. But we were getting bodies on bodies.
Your offensive line kind of kept the pocket clean for McCoy most of the night, enabled him to kind of stay back there and find some of the different receivers. You're able to come up with big plays late. But here, second quarter, 9:45 left. Another defensive stop by coming up with a turnover.
Yeah, this was huge for us, creating a turnover in this situation. They're up 10-2, but creating a turnover to get us the ball back, give us another opportunity to score.
So 8:36 left in the second quarter. The offense has the short field, and I believe this is the drive where we're going to see a touchdown pass from McCoy to Meekin. Meekin really able to use his hands and his size Friday night.
He was. Meekin had a great game. I think he had 8 or 9 catches. Was one of the leading receivers in yards. Had a huge touchdown catch. Right here it is. Great throw from Bryson McCoy to Bryce Meekin. Meekin going up, extending his arms all the way up over the defender, and then coming down and securing the football.
So then there's a procedure penalty on Clinton on the extra point. So you decide to bring the Rhino package in.
Yeah. So we get into our heavier set. We're close to the goal line, then kicking a PAT, so we felt good about what we had going in. It only made sense to go for it right there also. Right. We didn't plan on it. We put the PAT out there. We wanted to get the points later. We didn't, we felt like it was too early to chase the points, but given the situation, we went for it and tied the ball game.
That was the score at halftime. We skip ahead to midway through the third quarter because it was just a little back and forth, possession by possession. This was a key possession for your defense in the third quarter midway through.
Yes, this is huge. Defensively, we didn't allow anything easy for them. They had to really do a good job at getting what they got. And our defense, I thought we were physical. I thought we were violent tacklers. I thought we stood tall. And, fourth down right here, we fully expected them to go for it. But they chose to come out, and I think this is the one where Oh, this is the one where they actually go for it.
Yeah, there's so many of them.
There was another one later in the game
right,
that we expected them to go for it, and they ended up kicking the field goal. But this is the one that they went for it.
But
Big
I think
stop.
that kind of helped set the tone for the later in the game.
Right.
I think with Coach DeFriend having that in his mind, saying, all right, well, they got one stop, we got to get some points.
Yes.
And even then, they decided not to take points off the board, and we'll get to that in a minute. But
Right.
And this was a big possession, I thought, as well. For you to be backed up, you have the momentum from your defense, and your offense is able to start getting some momentum.
Yeah, this was huge. Getting the ball out of the, when we're backed up against the goal line, we work it every week. But it's huge for us whenever we, just in terms of the momentum, like you're saying, being able to get away from the goal line, give yourself some breathing room as an offense in the open field. You see Orion, we gave him the ball in the end around. Just a really good job.
And we talk about the ebbs and flows. So you get a defensive stop, you have some momentum going offensively, and then a hit on the ball from the linebacker coming over forces the ball loose, and then Clinton now has momentum. And in a 10-10 game, we're past midway through the third quarter, those things tend to play themselves out. But I thought your guys responded well and not staying. This was the one big play they had on their bootleg.
Yeah, this was. We knew that they had this in also. We had prepped for it all week, and they ended up getting us on it with our eyes wrong. Going back to the turnover, the fumble. There's going to be plays like that. We don't want them to. We coach trying to prevent that, right? But big playoff football. There's going to be things that happen. The ebbs and flows. We've talked about it. There's going to be that. We've got to have the mental toughness to be able to bounce back and not let it compound.
So this is another red zone defense, and this is what forced. This was 4th and 6, so they weren't going to go for it, but they decide to go for the field goal. They do get the field goal to make it 13-10.
Yeah, and we ran into the kicker there. It's something that we're trying to play aggressive, not allow any more points on the board. We're trying to block it, but just an unfortunate play right there.
Bryson McCoy finds Bryce Meekin for one of his 9 catches. Here we are late in the third quarter. You were able to have some success. I think McCoy ended up with almost 200 yards passing. Now we go into the fourth quarter, down 3 points. Anybody's ball game, and this is when you start noticing the tension in the stadium. Like, this was playoff football atmosphere.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Clinton did a really good job showing up for their team. They brought a lot of energy on their side. I thought our fans did the same. It's playoff atmosphere, and I was excited that our kids were able to play in that, being at home. It was our seniors' last home game of the season. We continue to win. We're going to be on the road for the rest of it. But big play right here by senior Cam Archer. Made a really good move on the linebacker. We throw him a really good ball, and he's able to get vertical and make a move on the safety.
He did make a nice move on that safety to get in. Now, this was a big. We don't normally show punts, but DeFriend backed up. He's also the quarterback, and he gets a tremendous role. And sometimes the field position game is why coaches decide to punt in that area. It's worked for the Badgers in the past, and it worked for Clinton on this
we
one.
try to keep the ball from rolling this deep for this situation. The field position matters. That play, a busted play on the offense, wasn't a run, but just a busted play.
So Clinton now with the momentum in another second half, 1-possession game, 2-point game. The momentum, and this is what would give Clinton its last lead of the game. But again, your defense in that situation forces them to 3, makes a 4-point difference. It ends up being a big difference in the game.
It was a big difference in the game. Just getting, obviously we wish they wouldn't have been able to kick a field goal, but it's a lot better than a whole score. So
because a touchdown there means that you have to have a touchdown on this next possession. How about this? I'll stop in the middle, but how about that from Cam Archer catching the ball? We didn't have the exact catch on the screen, but he caught it going away. Ball was tailing away from him. He caught it, kept himself from going out of bounds, and got about 45 yards in field position.
Yeah, Cam has been an explosive returner for us all season, and when they kicked it off, we felt good about Cam making the play, and he did a great job at creating some field position for us. This was a huge play also, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8. Senior Maddox Finley making a big play on the ball for a first down.
With the club.
He's got a cast on, being able to catch the ball in traffic. Seniors making plays. That's what it comes down to.
McCoy to Meekin, and now McCoy to Caden Whitaker. And I talked about it on the broadcast. Caden Whitaker, you could tell that he wasn't 100%. He had to come out a few plays, but that was an absolutely just gut check there for Whitaker to be able to catch that out of the backfield and then get upfield.
In these situations, your best players got to step up and make the plays, and I thought we did that. We were able to execute the 2-minute drill really, really well. I thought our guys did not panic. I thought we had a lot of poise, and we executed. And that it takes that kind of focus in these big games to be able to come up like this. And I was very proud of our guys. Senior Malachi Hamilton right here running back. We didn't use him as much on the offensive side of the ball. He was a huge part of our defense trying to stop what they did. But in the last drive of the game, we got to get the right guys in there to make the plays, and he went in there and did that.
Offensive line created holes. I saw Dominic Brumfield come over to the right side and help clear up that hole on the left side. And so you're able to get a score, and you don't leave a ton of time. Here are the last 2 plays of the game. Some pressure from Skylar McClure forces Dufresne to throw that one out of bounds. And then the last play of the game, I think Dufresne had to throw this one off of his back foot because of pressure as well.
Yeah, we knew if we can get them into this set, we felt good about our defensive line, creating pressure, being disruptive, and really encouraging to see right here senior Colton Plyler coming up with a big-time interception to seal the deal on the game. DB's making plays with the ball.
Andy headed straight to the sideline. Headed straight to the sideline.
He did.
Didn't risk running and trying to have a big return. He knew Arkadelphia had the ball, and he's ready to get the play over with.
He also could have just went down the middle of the field. That would have been fine too. But hey,
it's more fun
he's
to run
excited.
over.
Yeah, he's excited and made a play, and
more fun to run over with your teammates and set up the victory formation. So there. The celebration, the Badgers defeat Clinton 23-18. I'm sure it took a little bit for blood pressures and heart rates to settle down. And on the other side, Clinton had a tremendous team. This is a junior and senior class that won their conference, probably one of the best groups, and talking to some of their broadcast crew that they've had. And Coach Dufresne, I know you talked about last week, the amount of respect you have for him, and don't think he gets the notoriety that he deserves in the state.
He definitely doesn't get the notoriety he deserves, and him and his staff, they do such a great job with their kids. Their kids are always ready to play. They play very hard. They're very sound at what they do, and you got to be really good, and you've got to do a good job playing the game to win.
Let's take a look at our players of the game. First, for the overall player of the week, the only thing I had to change was the opponent, Malachi Hamilton there again. Always going to give you solid defensively, and now we're seeing him in the backfield
just in terms of, we're just doing one player of the game. In terms of making the impact to win the game, Malachi was that guy. He had 21 tackles, I believe, had a forced fumble. Had the score at the very end to seal the deal and put us ahead to win the game. I mean,
21 tackles, not bad. Not a bad.
They ran it 68 times, so you're going to have a lot. You got to have 20-something tackles there.
Let's go to our Badger Spirit Award winner for the week, Holden Craig. Holden is an offensive lineman. Got put into action with an injury, and talk about Holden.
Yeah, Holden, he's a sophomore offensive lineman for us. He's been able to play some this year. I believe he started against Hot Springs earlier in the year. He's just been ready to go. He's our next guy in on the offensive line. Gives us a great look in the scout looks. And then on Friday, we had an injury, and he was able to come in, and we didn't have a drop-off. He was able to come in and had the poise and handled it just like everybody else did. And, we were very fortunate that he was able to do that. Very proud of him and his progression. And, just at the end of the day, he's a great teammate.
Well, congratulations to Malachi and Holden. And let's go move on to the playoff results from the conference. Only 2 teams in action from the 4A7. Both of those got victories. Obviously, there's the Clinton at Arkadelphia game. Badgers come away 23-18. Bauxite got a road win, 40-28 at Mills. And then the other game of interest that we mentioned last week was the matchup of where Arkadelphia Clinton winner would face that winner, and that was Elkins defeating Southside 24-21. You take a look at the 4A quarterfinals, as there are only 8 teams left in Class 4A across the state of Arkansas. This is top to bottom as the bracket goes, so the winners of the top 2 games will meet each other in the semifinals, and the winner of the bottom 2 games on your screen there will face each other in the semifinals on the first Friday night of December. Bauxite at Stuttgart, Arkadelphia at Elkins, Prairie Grove at Warren, and Monticello at Dardanelle. Coach, you and I talked about before we recorded our pregame show the amount of good games this past Friday night in the second round. And that continues this Friday night with 4 quarterfinal games. You saw by the scores that this thing is wide open.
It is. It's Thanksgiving week.
Right.
If you're still playing on Thanksgiving week, you're a really good football team, and you've proven that. And so that's what you're seeing right now. Last week, there were some really, really good matchups and some teams that are sitting at home right now that probably would be considered one of the better teams in Class 4A or any other classifications for that matter. But the ones that made it are still playing, and you still got to be able to do it. Just find a way to win. We saw it on the screen, Elkins and Southside. We get to play Elkins this week. We travel to Elkins. That was a dogfight game.
Right.
It came down to the last drive of the game to determine a winner.
And Dardanelle had to score a touchdown and get a 2-point conversion at home against Hamburg to advance to the quarterfinals.
That's right.
Lots of close games. Let's move our attention to Elkins. It's a rematch of the state championship game from last year. None of that matters, obviously. It's 2 different teams.
2 different teams.
Let's talk about Elkins, what you expect to see.
Yeah, they're going to be excited to play us.
Yeah.
I think there's no doubt about that with the way that the state championship game ended up. We were victorious. They came out, didn't come out on top. Yeah. So, I believe they're going to be on a revenge tour.
Right.
They're going to be excited about getting to play us and play us at their place. So I expect them to play with a lot of energy. I expect them to give us their best game of the season. And we've got to do the same. It's no different. We've proven that we can win on the road and travel and do well. So that's kind of the matchup. I think it's going to be a really good one.
Right.
Defensively, they haven't allowed a lot of points this year. I believe Southside is the team that scored the most on them, and that's 21. And then offensively, they've been able to put up a lot of points. So our defense has got another big test ahead of them. Our offense does too. And so it's just going to come down to who's healthy, who finishes the game healthiest, who's able to go out and make plays, and who wants it more is really what it comes down to. Playoff football, Thanksgiving week football, it's not going to be easy on either side.
Let's talk about this Thanksgiving week. I mentioned at the outset, 9 years in a row that Arkadelphia has played on Thanksgiving, the Friday after Thanksgiving, 12 of the last 13 years. And with that, it started with Coach Eldridge 13 years ago, and you've continued that. On Thursday, kind of give us a look at the schedule for the week, and let's talk about Thursday morning as well.
Yeah, so, we do an afternoon practice Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, we bring them in the morning. So there's a quick turnaround from Tuesday to Wednesday. But we bring them in the morning so that our parents put together a Thanksgiving meal for our team, and we have a whole Thanksgiving dinner for our whole team and coaches and everybody involved. Because we have some kids that don't get that on typical Thanksgiving Day. And so we want to be able to share that and have the camaraderie and enjoy the time together and celebrate being able to continue playing. There's a lot of things that go into that. And our parents do a great job of putting that together for us. And then Thursday morning, Thanksgiving Day, we start at 8 o'clock in the morning. We start with some alumni, some previous Badgers that come back, and we get them coffee and donuts, and they talk to the team and give them some words of encouragement. And our players love to see that, some old guys coming back and talking about their days and what it means to be a Badger playing on Thanksgiving and how special it is because, like you've said, when you've done it 12 times out of the last 13 years, it kind of becomes normal.
Right.
But we're very fortunate. We're blessed that we've been able to be that, been able to continue to play this long for so long. That's not the case everywhere. Right. It's just normal for us, but it is special. It's special to get to be able to do that. You have to earn it, and our kids have earned it. But we do our run through on Thursday, and then we'll have the game on Friday.
All right. Well, we would like to issue a special welcome or invitation to any former Badgers who played on Thanksgiving or just have kept up with the team and you're in town, whether you live here in Arkadelphia or if you're visiting family, would invite you to the Badger Fieldhouse Thursday morning at 8 o'clock and speak to the team or just be there with some of your former teammates before the team goes out for their Thursday practice. Well, Coach, happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you guys at home, and safe travels, and go Badgers.
Go Badgers.
All right, the Badgers headed to Elkins Friday night for the 4A state quarterfinals. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. at John Bunch Jr. Memorial Field on the high school campus at Elkins. If you can't make the trip, you can watch the game on ArkadelphiaBadgerTV.com/broadcasts. The Southern Bancorp Badger pregame show will begin at 6:30 with kickoff set for 7 p.m. Well, Coach, good luck to you, and we'll see you Friday night in Elkins.
We're excited about it.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Inside Badger Football is brought to you by the Arkadelphia Alliance and Chamber of Commerce, ATO Automotive, Batson Signs, Bell Wealth Services, Blakelytown, Chad Kesterson Shelter Insurance, Chicken Express, Citizens Bank, Domino's, Eccles, Thompson and Kneebone CPA, Doctors Gary and Rob Rucker, Knight Insurance Professionals, L&J Auto Sales, Ludwig's Bakery, Park Hill Baptist Church, Patterson Federal Credit Union, Print Mania, Providence Veterinary Care, Roger Wingfield State Farm, Scott Bird DDS, The Sexton Firm, South Central Connect, Southern Bancorp, Southwest Auto Collection, Taylor King Law, Tea Time Sims, Trinity Temple Assembly of God, Turner, Rogers, Manning and Plyler CPA, Twin Rivers Health and Rehabilitation, and Welch Funeral Home. Inside Badger Football is a production of the Washita Sports Digital Network, the student sports media program housed in the Rogers Department of Communications at Washita Baptist University.